Support for today's show comes from Bin 113. Looking to grow your winery's direct-to-consumer sales? Bin 113 leverages proven marketing expertise to help U.S.-based wineries like yours acquire and retain more customers. With over 100 years of combined experience, we make your D2C marketing as exceptional as your wine. Visit bin113.com to learn how we can help you sell more wine.
We're a very self-deprecating type of people. We try not to take ourselves too seriously, but we are certainly working our best to make high quality wine.
Hello, Sandra.
Hi, Alan.
I think I hear a dog howling.
A little upstairs.
How are you?
Very good.
So
Very good.
today we're going to travel to Delaware.
Delaware, not far from us.
Not far from us.
I was just down there a couple weekends ago.
Yeah.
Lovely place.
So I don't think most people think of Delaware as being a wine producing state.
Not at all.
And interestingly, there's a good reason for that. It happens to be the smallest wine producing state in the U.S.
It is.
It's also the second smallest state in the U.S. after Rhode Island.
After Rhode Island, sure.
In terms of population of Delaware is about 1 million people.
Right.
Delaware was the first state to ratify the Constitution.
Oh, I love
which is
that.
why its nickname is the first state. And my connection with Delaware has always been with the corporate situation down there, because over 60% of Fortune 500 companies are incorporated in
Delaware. A lot of big boats down from Delaware too, right? A lot of big yachts all in Delaware.
Exactly. So as far as wine production is concerned, they have a humid coastal climate.
Yep.
Should be well suited for a number of hybrid grape varieties like Chambourcin, Vidal Blanc, and Traminette. I do think we're going to taste a Vidal Blanc today. And then its situation, where it's situated geographically between the Delaware Bay and the Atlantic Ocean, helps to moderate its temperature.
Absolutely. Having the bay and the ocean on the other side really makes it not be so dramatic and varied with the temperatures. So that's really good for the grapes. Seems like going to be a lovely region.
It should be.
Looking forward to it.
So who would have thunk that we would have been traveling to Delaware to taste wines?
No problem. Welcome. We're so excited to talk to you. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, great to be here with you.
So please introduce yourself and your position at this fabulous vineyard.
Sure. My name is Jason Hopwood. I've been the winemaker at Harvest Ridge for a little over 10 years now. And I started out in the vineyard when I first took on this position. So nice to really get in touch with the farm first, and then took that magical leap into the winery, which has always been a little more of my desire and focus. I'll be heading into my 11th vintage here with.
Wow. So you started out just being more in hands-on in the fields and working with the grapes. And did you go to school, or was it something that it just evolved as you built your relationship there?
Yeah, I think it was a combination of factors for sure. It definitely evolved. This is my second career. I started out in the culinary field. I wanted to be a chef. That background developed from my family, from my grandmother. Just my childhood memories of being in the kitchen with her.
Nice.
And doing a lot of gardening. With my grandfathers. My grandparents were very important in my life. My grandfather was my best man in my wedding.
Oh, wow.
So it's that and he did make a little bit of wine, a little blackberry wine. I shouldn't say this, but it was really awful. It was just I tried it when I was younger, and that's probably why it was awful. But they loved experimenting. There was always fun things going on in the kitchen at my grandparents' house.
What a great influence they had on you. That's really cool.
Right.
Wow. And so you developed it into, now you have been fully into winemaking. It's not unusual that this is somebody's second career, or the evolution of yourself, and finding what they say, figure out what you love in this world and find a way to get paid for it.
Exactly. So let's take a step back a little bit, because Delaware is not exactly known, for wine production. On a state-by-state basis, it's, according to our research, it's the smallest of the states, but it's also the second smallest state behind Rhode Island in terms of population. Tell us a little bit about where you are, what makes growing grapes there more difficult, more challenging, easier, better. I think if you can just spend a couple of minutes giving our listeners an overview, because I don't think anybody, outside of your immediate area would necessarily think about Delaware as being, a wine producing region or wine producing state.
Right.
And how
Um,
and where exactly are you located in Delaware? So we're closer to the water or, all of that.
yeah, the winery was established in 2013, and we're just about 15 minutes drive, a little over 10 miles directly west of Dover, Delaware, the state capital. As you mentioned, it's a small state. We're probably more well known for our beaches
Hmm.
areas. The winery is almost equidistant between the Delaware Bay and the Chesapeake Bay. So we're definitely immersed in the Eastern Shore lifestyle. Poultry is actually our number one agricultural industry. So, yes, there's not many of us doing this type of industry. It really was our founder who, his name is Chuck Noonan. He had a vision for this place. He saw the lack of representation of our industry in this region, in this state, and I think he just saw it as an opportunity. We have 180 acres on our farm. We only grow about 23 acres, give or
Mm.
take. We are a family farm winery, which means we grow fruit here on the estate, process it here. It's a family run and owned business. We're actually on our second generation now, running the operation, which is really
Which is
cool.
amazing because there are a lot of vineyards that ship grapes in from the West Coast. So
Hmm.
you are a fully sustainable running farm and vineyard.
Right. I think that where I have at least tried to have some input is um, going back to a little bit of the history. I did actually go back to school to learn fermentation science. I thought it was my best way as a second career to try to develop myself a little more quickly, try to understand because as we know with competition in markets these days, it's you really have to start on your best footing. And I think that gave me some advantage. So walking into this place, just over 10 years ago, seeing what was already here as far as the farm, the production building, as you can see behind me a little bit. I hope that's okay. It's a
Hmm.
little, I know it's maybe tacky,
No,
but
not at all.
No,
We
this
no.
love
is
it.
the picture
You're
of our tank room. And now with the winery being older than 10 years and myself being here for over a decade, really watching us grow and just how many locals really have supported us. Our wine club's incredible
That's
here.
fantastic.
So, in the meantime, before we get into that, I guess, but the history of this place, besides the founder really seeing that opportunity, he was also a basement winemaker.
Oh.
So we're a very self-deprecating type of people. We try not to take ourselves too seriously, but we are certainly working our best to make high quality wine, especially in a region that is really unknown
Mm-hmm.
for growing grapes or making wine. So um, everybody knows Dogfish
Challenge
Head.
for you. I have a question about, choosing the varietals that you chose because it's Chambourcin is very popular in the Northeast, but Vidal Blanc and Petit Pansing, like how did you come about? Where was your decision-making process?
I think that's been an evolution as well. We
Yeah.
have we have pulled out a few varieties that just have not worked for us, that have worked in other close regions like Virginia and Pennsylvania. So one priority I think we've made is that because of our latitude being similar to Bordeaux, we always felt that that was stylistically where we wanted to go with not only obviously with the wines, but can we grow those grapes?
Mhm.
And we obviously still have challenges, but an example like growing Merlot, our Merlot does wonderful here.
Hmm.
It ripens mid-season. We can typically get it harvested where we want it without the concern of late season hurricanes coming up the coast.
Yeah.
So that's really bolstered our confidence with these other varieties. We actually grow all five Bordeaux classic red varieties We also grow one of the two main white varieties in Sauvignon Blanc. But we also do a lot of R&D here. We have a test block. Our vineyard manager, it's just a couple rows, nothing much, but we're throwing out some Tannat
Hmm.
Oh, wow.
there. We have found, or at least I have found in my experience, that with our soil types, and of course being close to the beach, we have a higher level of sand in our soils. They don't necessarily give us a lot of structure in the fruit. So Tanat is one example that we're trialing to see if maybe that can be something that we can add on to help us in our blending process with our reds, build in that structure naturally from the grapes, instead of maybe adding exogenous tannin
Mm-hmm.
products or something like that.
Right. And very rocky soil there. Or so you've got a lot of sand, but is it more gravelly? And what else do you have going on in the ground there?
Very little stones and rocks.
Yeah.
Our parent material is mainly sandstone.
Hmm.
Sandstone.
Got it.
So
Got it.
we're always focused on really trying to get the vineyard in the best health.
Yeah.
So thankfully we have a highly qualified vineyard manager here. He's been here for quite some time too, not far behind me, and really committed to soil health. So we compost our grape skins when they're done, fermentation after pressing. Um, we let them sit. We don't apply them right back to the soil. They're back in a compost pile. They go through multiple seasons of aging and turning. We have another tasting room. We have a second tasting room. So whenever we talk about that, just mentioning that now because that's up near Kennett Square,
Hmm.
Pennsylvania, which is a mushroom capital. We actually get mushroom soil
Oh,
delivered here, and we spread that on our vineyard as well.
oh, that's
Interesting.
nice.
So I got to tell you, all of this
Oh,
talk is
all
making me
right.
thirsty. I think we're going to try the Petit Manseng.
Which one? Vidal Blanc or Petit Manseng first?
Yeah, dealer's choice, Sandra. But
Oh,
yeah, if you don't mind, maybe this Vidal Blanc first.
Okay.
okay. Wonderful.
I
So I'm going to
bet.
show the label, which is quite lovely, actually. I love the black.
So while Sandra's pouring, and this is my favorite part of the interview, um, people who come to visit you in Delaware, you typically drawing from Delaware and Maryland and some parts of Pennsylvania, or the Pennsylvania contingent all going to Kennett Square at this point?
I think we get a really good mix. I think you're correct, and most are coming from Delaware because we're on the border. We border Maryland. Some of our vineyard actually is in Maryland, so we are right on the border. We get a lot of local folks. I think it's
Okay.
mostly Eastern Shore. But when we do some of our events, we'll get folks coming from the other side of the bay, even. So I think we have a nice following. Our marketing team, our social media manager, does a great job getting as much information out there as possible,
Yeah,
letting
I
people
want to
know where
talk
we
more
are,
about
and
the
that's
calendar.
always hard, right?
Yeah.
You don't know what your reach is sometimes as far as getting folks that might be coming to this area.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So tell us about the Vidal Blanc.
Yeah,
What do you love about this grape?
I'm gonna join you, okay?
Please do.
Yes, absolutely.
I wasn't sure of the protocol, but I thought
Oh no, this is the protocol.
you
Trust me,
can't we can't, nobody can drink alone, right?
Right, right. That would
100%.
that'd be horrible. The tragedy.
So believe it or not, we just bottled this wine just over 3 weeks ago. So
Yeah.
I was a little cautious in sending it to you, but I opened one prior and I thought that it's already showing really nicely. Um, so this is eight, 85% Vidal Blanc. It does have a little bit of Sauvignon Blanc
Mhm.
in the wine,
Yeah, I'm getting like
15%.
lemon and pear on the nose, definitely.
So I think
Nice.
stylistically
I'm getting some more.
I was trying to steer it a little bit towards that more of that Sauvignon Blanc, stainless steel, crisp
Hmm.
Yes,
citrus
Hmm.
style.
it is. I
For
mean,
those
if
who
I was
aren't
blind
familiar,
tasting this, I would think that this was like a Loire Sauvignon Blanc.
wow,
It has the
okay,
white
wow, that's high
notes.
praise.
It's got a little bit of that like nice
Yeah,
acidity. I'm getting
exactly.
maybe a touch of white peach or so there.
Now, do you all drink Vidal Blanc once in a while?
Once
I
in a
Some of your
while.
You don't find it very often. That's why, and it's not a common varietal that you see a lot. So that's why I wanted you to share with everybody what this
yeah,
really is.
yeah, I appreciate that. I think a lot of folks maybe don't realize how important this grape is in Canada. It makes some unbelievable ice wines.
Right.
I would put that up there with some of the top dessert wines in the world, obviously.
Mm.
For us down here, we do use it for a couple different types of wine styles, including late harvest. But for this particular wine, just crisp, fun to drink,
Absolutely.
very food friendly because of the acidity levels, I think. And for me, Vidal Blanc, even though it's not on everybody's radar, it grows really well for us here.
Hmm.
It's quite disease resistant, which is really nice for us. And we always get a good yield out of this wine. So we can
Wow.
create some value, I think, for our guests. This is actually, I sent you this, but this is not for retail. This is just for our wine club.
Oh,
Interesting.
wow.
So,
What a
Jason,
treat.
talk to us a little bit because, like you, I'm a foodie. Actually, Sandra is too.
Yeah.
We all are. Pairings. What would you recommend?
Food pairing to
Food
go with the
pairings.
Vidal Blanc.
Yeah, man, we're almost in asparagus season. I think
Yes.
Sauvignon Blanc, same,
Mhm.
is a great match. So some grilled asparagus would be wonderful. Any kind of vinaigrette, maybe a citrus vinaigrette on there.
Yep.
Um, I obviously we're on the Eastern Shore, so crab cakes are always a thing.
Of course.
Always welcome at the table,
Perfect pair.
right? So that season's coming upon us too. Any kind of light fish, I think our best fish in these parts is flounder.
Okay.
So just a
Yeah.
nice, like easy,
Classic,
flounder.
classic pairings with
Yeah, classic pairings.
so somebody in
Absolutely.
it, just to throw it out there, if you're a Sauvignon Blanc fan, this is definitely right up your alley.
And I am. Although,
Yes.
as you know, I've become sort of a bigger fan of domestic Sauvignon Blancs than I have of the New Zealands, which have become a little too acidic
Right. Yeah.
for me. I will tell you that I'm glad you mentioned asparagus. I actually grilled purple asparagus
Oh, fun.
on Sunday for Mother's Day,
Oh,
and
lovely.
it was extraordinary. And trying to think, I think we were drinking a Viognier
The Viognier.
with it.
Yeah.
It was quite good.
Oh, fun. Well, this
Yeah,
is,
nice.
this is, we really love it.
Delicious.
Fresh herbs, fresh veggies. I'm going to cut us to our first commercial break, and we will be right back because we've got 3 more wines to taste.
At Toomey, 50 years of innovation starts with you. Every zipper, handle, and wheel perfected to perform so you can perform. Day in and day out. Toomey, made for you since 1975.
And we are back with our next wine from Harvest Ridge Winery. And we are tasting the Petite Menseigne. Here is the label. And what is it? This is a 2023. The last one was 2024. I'll notice the color. Again, you're going to have to talk about what this grape varietal is. The
Yeah,
color
sure.
is
So
gorgeous. Oof.
this grape variety is typically grown in southwest of France.
Okay.
I believe it's starting to get a foothold in the mid-Atlantic. You're seeing a lot of it in Virginia. We have just a small planting here, so it's not a whole lot. They typically have very small grapes, very thick skin. So again, really good for our growing conditions with our humidity in the mid-Atlantic.
Interesting.
So really keeps the cluster health going through up to harvest. Like Vidal, where this is similar, and this is a vinifera grape, not a French hybrid like the Vidal. This grape can really cross borders, if you will. So you can go dry, which, believe it or not, this wine is totally dry.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to taste like it has residual sugar. It's
A
just
little bit, yeah.
it's just that fruity. It is bone dry. This wine fermented for over 30 days. It took that long to get it dry. We also include some barrel fermentation of this wine.
That's why it has this beautiful golden color.
Oh my God, the color.
Right. It's almost unctuous.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
almost think it's too much for I don't know. I think that's why I wanted to have both of the whites
Mm-hmm.
because it's such a juxtaposition in
I mean, I'm
the
still
mouthfeel
getting
and
the
the
acidity
oiliness.
here, but I'm definitely getting a creamy kind of a creaminess, almost like a cream cheese, and again with the warm apple pear kind of. No, it's just really much richer
Yeah.
and fuller bodied than the Vidal Blanc, which is just that bright acidity, but really well balanced wine with the fruit and the
Yeah.
acidity
I'm trying to think what I would serve.
and the color.
This
Again,
with.
it's just this beautiful.
Yeah, I think with this richness compared to the Vidal being a little lighter on its feet, I think you can really go towards maybe a little bit fattier meats, proteins.
Okay.
I really was thinking, my first thought was pork al pastor
Uh-huh.
style,
Would be good.
uh,
That's a good thought.
with
That's a
that
good thought.
pineapple and a little bit of chili in
I'm
there.
getting grilled pineapple or even apricot in this.
Right. So I think that would be a really fun, taco night with
Hmm.
this,
Yes.
really
Yeah.
tacos of your choice, I think.
Oh, it would definitely stand up.
Yep.
Yeah, this is not a weak little acidity little light wine. This has got some nice fruit, really beautiful,
Good,
beautiful
great.
nose. Love the color. Really, it's gorgeous.
I'm trying to think of what else I would compare it to.
Well, yeah, what would we compare this to? Because again, this is the Petit Massang is not a varietal that everybody's really, really familiar with. I mean, us Americans are used to five varietals, right? We know Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay, Merlot, Cab, and
Pinot.
Pinot Noir. That's about
Yeah,
that's
right.
that's the general. So to try something, and yeah, you're right, to compare this to
Yeah.
something, I wouldn't quite say it's a Chard.
Right.
It's definitely bigger into the Chardonnay family, but it's got a lot more fruitiness to
This
it.
is
Right.
way better than Chardonnay.
Oh well,
You
he's
know.
he's not he's the endless shard grump.
I am. I am.
That's okay. You can be. There's a lot of
Um,
Chardonnay out there.
and sometime when we are sitting together in the same room, I'll explain why. But
But
let's just say that it was the 1980s.
yeah,
Yeah, right, right. Lots of
for Americans.
California Chardonnay.
Out
Yep.
of California.
How about a hypothetical cross between Chardonnay and Riesling? I think
Yeah.
it's
I
maybe
would
got
Okay.
a little bit
that
of
is
that
really good.
Riesling character.
That is
Yeah.
there you go. You hit it.
So to me,
Perfect.
maybe some Asian flavors would go well too. I thought teriyaki chicken, maybe chicken
Hmm.
wings,
Hmm.
Gosh, that's
something with some
perfect.
saltiness that can
Well,
really,
it's as if it's a Chardonnay, but it has some Riesling qualities where you're getting all of those really, yeah, they're like Asian kind of flavors, more of the lychee pear apricot kind of. It's really, yeah,
yeah,
Jason,
got it.
tell us a little bit about distribution and where our listeners can buy. I assume it's harvestridgewinery.com.
well, if you can believe this, and I'm gonna sit on my high my high chair here. That didn't sound right. That makes me
Okay.
childish,
Your
which I am,
throne.
so that's okay. Uh, Delaware is still one of, I think, only two left because I think Mississippi passed
Mhm.
direct shipping.
Okay.
Delaware can still not direct ship.
At all.
So
Wow.
for every wine that I sent you, I'm afraid to say, you either got to be part of the wine club,
Hmm.
which
Yep.
is a good thing, I think. There's a lot of value there, or you have to come to one of the two tasting rooms.
Okay.
And I will say, coming to one of your tasting rooms, I looked at your event calendar for this summer of 2025. You guys are busy. You
Impressive.
have endless food truck nights and musicians and a cookie and wine pairing and barbecue and
Right.
wine pairing and an oyster. You have a clam bake coming up. Like really amazing schedule of events. Very impressive.
Yeah, our sales team here, our tasting room manager Alexis, really again just a big part of the team. She's been here for a number of years. We really have a core group, and I think we're all passionate about what we do as an entity, but also our individual, tasks and responsibilities. And we're not this traditional region, so we're really not a traditional wine tasting room
Mhm.
either. And not to say you can't come in and have a nice quiet tasting,
Mhm.
but we also run a lot of events.
Right.
Not just live music on weekends. It's like you said, we actually set up tastings, and Alexis and I work on these tastings and try to match the best wines. Um,
Oh,
that
I,
really
I
that
highly
really I
recommend
think is another
people.
connection to the community and being part of a
Yes.
family farm winery. We want to be
You
part
should
of it.
go on to Harvest Wine. It's harvestridgewinery.com and go
Yeah.
onto your calendar and check that out because there's something you have sometimes two or three events a weekend. It's
Yes.
really you've got a
Yeah,
lot going on.
the staff, we just had our big staff training of the year recently, and there are just a lot of great people here. They care about hospitality. Uh, we really have
Thank you.
our founder set up this company to have mission, vision, core values, just like any large business. We're a small winery. We're not a big winery at all, but
How
we're
many
set
days
up
a
so that
year,
our
Jason?
staff understands this is what we care about. This is who we are,
Yeah.
what we're about. And I think it comes out of our pores a bit. It from the quality of the wines, I hope.
Mhm.
That's my goal, down to, our tasting room staff who really is the face of our enterprise.
and welcoming the community to all the different events
Right.
and things that you do. How many cases of wine a year are you producing?
Well, I'm sure, as you both know, the industry is so up and down, the past couple of years between the pandemic and now. But we're averaging about 10,000 cases a year
It's a nice number. Good
of
for
wine.
you.
Yeah, and I that's a happy place for us. We have capacity to go a little larger. But I prefer small lots. Most of our lots are between 250 to 300 cases. The Petit Manseng, where we make it just for, I'm sorry, excuse me, the Vidal Blanc, where it was produced just for the wine club, that might be 150 cases.
Okay.
Wow.
So we'll keep that smaller because that really is just for them. Um, that's I like that because it's really keeps me in
That's
tune.
special. All right, we're moving on to your Country Bloom Rosé. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Quite a deep color here. This is not a rosé that this is not a Provence style color rosé, but this is just got a very deep kind of touch of a cranberry kind of a color to it. But explain what grape you used in here and
Sure.
how long maceration was.
So I think Alan can uh, side with me on this. I hope. With gray hair comes a little bit of wisdom, right, Alan?
Uh,
Okay.
there are times when I display that wisdom, and there are other times when I drink wine in the middle of the day talking to nice folks like you.
Oh, day drinking. I'm so glad to hear that.
Day
God bless
drinking,
you.
never a bad idea.
Never a bad idea until 10 o'clock at night.
Until evening, right? Exactly.
So I think rosés, I've always been challenged with rosés. I find it to be one of the more difficult wines for me personally to make. And I love provincial rosés. I wish we could grow Grenache. I'm sure there's somebody out there trying it, but
Yeah.
we're not doing it here. Or Syrah or Mourvedre, because they make absolutely the best rosés in the world, in my opinion. So what we have here is almost our interpretation of not a provincial rosé, maybe more of a California West Coast style, if you will. So 85% Chambourcin and a little bit remaining of Cabernet Sauvignon.
Wow.
And here's another French hybrid that I think, like Vidal, does not have that foxy character. It can make varied wines. We've made a bourbon barrel finish wine with this
Mhm.
grape as a red. We've tried to make more concentrated versions of that grape to be more Bordeaux-like. So it's really fun to find a rosé. This actually has quite a bit of residual sugar.
It does.
So it's sitting around 4%.
Mm. Yeah, I'm getting like
But
we were discussing like different flavors.
Candied
There's
fruit.
something like a candied fruit in here, like a candied apple.
right, so not to get too nerdy, because I know listeners might not care for this, but fermentation has always been to me such a really unbelievable scenario because you smell what's going on, but you can't see what's doing what. So
Right.
I'm still amazed by that even at this point in my career. It blows me away. And the reason I mention it is because for this particular wine, we actually trialed a non-Saccharomyces yeast. So just to elaborate a little bit, Saccharomyces cerevisiae is the main fermenter for bread yeast for,
Right.
basically
It's the
most
most common.
alcohol,
It's the
not
most
all
common
beers.
yeast.
But
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's the most common yeast everybody
Mhm.
uses.
Right, it's the most common yeast. And generally in wineries, it will be the yeast that finishes a fermentation one way or another, even if it's, a wild fermentation. So in this case, we use a non-Saccharomyces to start the fermentation. And what this species does is actually produces lactic acid.
Aha.
So very similar to malolactic, but it's producing lactic acid from the sugars, not the malic acid. So you're not losing that acidity. You're actually gaining more. You're gaining mouthfeel.
Wow. So it's not going through malolactic. It's creating lactic from that particular type of yeast.
Correct. So this has really been a lot of technology that's coming forward from a lot of firms that are producing the yeast that we use for those that decide to pursue that path, which we do here. And when you use it intermittently, it really adds another layer. And it's what you're doing is just taking advantage of a wild fermentation, but you're doing it under more of a controlled circumstance. So
Ooh.
really, I almost hate saying this, but it's probably the best rosé I've ever made. I didn't like putting sugar in it,
Yeah.
but I think that the acid was so beautiful, it needed that balance.
Mm-hmm. It would have been
And I think again, it
too.
shows what hybrid grapes can do
Yeah.
when grown well, when vinified well. Um, yeah, I hope you enjoy it.
Hmm.
I'm
So
It
really
did. It's
this
got
wine
a,
surprised me a
it
lot.
does have
So
a great mouthfeel.
yeah, it's really it's very smooth and soft, but there's still acidity there. I'm getting, like I said, candied apple, but fresh, really, really fresh. Food wise, so I love sweeter. And this is not a sweet wine, but the wines with more residual sugar go great with something really spicy. So
Mhm.
I would,
right.
this would be really great with something that has a little kick to it.
Yes.
Some food. What, anything that you serve at the vineyard there that you think would be a great pairing?
We do have a food truck here, and our chef on the truck does some nice like hot honey fried chicken.
Oh,
Oh,
I think is perfect with this
perfect.
wine.
Oh, that would be
I
delicious.
haven't had lunch. This is killing me.
Alan, it's late.
I know it's like,
I was in New York. I raced back.
oh my
It's been a
gosh.
busy day.
That's right. Hot honey fried chicken and this with the little residual sugar and freshness and acidity.
I'm thinking like a really good General Tso's chicken
Yeah.
or some
Yeah.
spicy sesame noodles
Yeah.
would be great with this. Really, really nice. I think when I first saw the bottle, I was a little thrown by the color of it because it is so deep
Yeah.
in color, but I like the candied apple reference, and I do think it's got that great mouthfeel.
Yeah.
So good stuff.
Really nice.
So we've got a
That's fun.
break for our second commercial
Yes.
break. This is usually Sandra's job, but she's drinking all the wine. So I'll take care of that. So we'll be back in a moment, and we're very much looking forward to tasting our fourth wine today and looking forward to hearing your description of that.
We'll be
So
right back.
we'll be right back.
Venue Magazine is timely and timeless. Contemporary art and design, food and wine, architecture, motoring, yachting, music and film, and more. Find it all at venuemagazine.com.
We are back. Harvest Ridge Winery, your BDX, and I'm assuming that is a abbreviation for Bordeaux.
Yes. So little homage to, a lot of us around here like to go to the Outer Banks. So little homage to them and those stickers
Okay,
you see
got it.
still
Got
once
it.
in a while. But yeah, I thought that was fun.
It is fun. So it says on the front, Cabernet, you have your percentages right on the front. Cabernet Sauvignon, 33%, Merlot, 28%, and Cab Franc, 23%. A little Malbec and a little Petit Verdot. Very classic Bordeaux blend varietals. And
Yeah.
you said you had compared where you are very much onto the same latitude uh, as Bordeaux.
Right. And I think blending is that one component of winemaking that really is creativity and really can lead to being real, making something different than someone else.
Mhm.
You can use those same five varieties from different areas and different percentages, and you have a completely different wine.
Yes.
And that's really fun for us here. I think it's one of my personal favorite things that we do is the blending sessions that we go through. Um, the joy of finding coopers that really match well their craft with what you're trying to do, match well with the farm and the grapes that we grow. And I think this Bordeaux blend really signifies that,
Now,
I hope.
do you do the
Um,
same blend every year, or do you change it up a little bit depending on your results for your Cab and your Merlot and your Cab, or you're trying to keep it pretty much the same blend every year?
no, not necessarily. So the 2022 version is resting in bottle. That's been finished. It's not released yet to the public, but that is much less Cabernet and more Malbec. So we're really finding those best constituents to try to make a balanced wine. That's
Interesting.
really always been my goal. We do not, or I always want to say we, but my preference for making wine is to be, now I don't want to use the term hands off because it's all human intervention. It's always right. We're
Right.
crafting something,
Right.
but we really just want to be true to the grape varietals, true to what the farm can offer, um, and build the blend that's as balanced as possible. Being from an unknown region with very few wineries, I'm certainly not trying to make wines that I think are going to age for 10 years. I want to hope they do. We're
Right.
just over 10 years old, so really not there yet. But the my really the premise is to just have, mouthfeel and tannin and structure and acid just to be there, but also to the point of if you just want to have a glass by itself without any food, that's your choice. I hope that is equally satisfying to you as having this wine with a lamb chop,
Mm-hmm.
something fancy, or a piece, a nice steak, whatever you decide.
I'm got my nose in the glass here, and
It's absolutely delicious.
I'm smelling like lots of plum, a bit of cinnamon,
Hmm.
of oak, vanilla. I'm getting all of that there.
And so as sort of the
A little
amateur
cranberry.
here, just such a leap from the other wines
Mm-hmm.
we've tasted. This is delicious. It's absolutely delicious. So Jason, tell us a little bit, because our understanding is that Harvest Ridge is doing quite a bit for the community in addition to the wines that you're producing and the events that you're holding at the winery. Tell us a little bit about the philanthropic work that you guys are doing. I think it's really a testament to the ownership and management team that you guys are giving back to the community in a lot of ways.
Right. It's not just about the family farm winery part, it's also about, like I mentioned, our core values, where that's part of our core values is giving back to the community. So we have one giant event every year. It's called a food truck competition. I know it's become pretty common, around the country. But for us, that's our big event. We've had attendance in the thousands for
Wow.
this event, and not just this event, but other, side activities as well, allows us to put money in the pot for a group called Heroes Hunts. And this is a group that has been run by us. And it allows us to use our farm plus some of our neighbors' farms, and we actually take veterans out hunting
Wow.
as part of a therapeutic type of event. We also take yearly trips with veterans and their families down to Disney World
Oh, wow.
That's wonderful.
as part of this group, as part of our activity. So it's a real connection to us, to those who have served for us, for our country, and just a really nice way to honestly just say thanks. We're like I mentioned, we're about 15-minute, by air to Dover, and so one of our Air Force bases is there
Hmm.
in the country. So we have that direct connection with them. We get a lot of our military folks come and enjoy events with us and enjoy our wines. So it's really nice to give back to them in
That's
that community.
fantastic.
Yeah, I think
Love
it's
it.
awesome, and I know Sandra and I are both big believers in volunteerism and
Mhm.
philanthropy, and I think it's fabulous that you guys are giving back to the community in such a relevant community, given your proximity to the Air
Right.
Force Base. So good for you. So as we kind of wrap up a little bit here.
And the wrap up, I just want to bring back to this Bordeaux blend that we're drinking. It really does have a nice mouthfeel. Like it's got
Does.
beautiful acidity. I'm getting all these like really wonderful, like I said, cranberry, vanilla, just like a little bit of cinnamon, a clove, just like an interesting little herbaceous kind of side to it. But it's very smooth, and the tannins are soft.
Mhm.
They're not harsh tannins. They're not ripping up my tongue for a wine that's from 2021. These are really very soft tannins and just lovely fruit. Really enjoy it.
Well, I thank you both for your comments really about the wines. This is a very humbling field, because we are agriculture, and I come to it as a humble person. I'm constantly learning. It makes me very happy when, you know, are these 98 point wines? Absolutely not. But it makes me happy that there are wines that people can enjoy, uh,
Absolutely.
and
And
their
we all know
quality.
that that point thing is sometimes very skewed
Yeah,
in all
exactly.
many different ways. So
Right.
to believe those points, you go and you believe your palate and you believe with the experience that you have enjoying the wines or being at the vineyard. So Really lovely.
So, my sort of summation is that, thank you so much, for joining us today. It's been a great conversation, and we've gotten to taste 4 very different and very delicious wines.
Mhm.
And
And a fun surprise
I
too.
think-
Aren't you surprised with the Country Bloom?
100%.
Yes.
I think everybody should be petitioning the state government in Delaware to allow you to ship
Yes.
to other states, because people are missing out. But I will just mention, where you're located. You're in the very busy I-95 corridor. Really simple for people to stop on their way to or from Baltimore or DC and Philly and up to New York and Boston.
Yeah.
Go pick up some of
Yeah,
this
what a
wine, and
wonderful place to come visit and support.
100%. So, Jason, thank you so much for being with us today. We really enjoyed it, and
Great.
enjoy
My
the rest
pleasure.
of the
My
day.
pleasure. Thank you for
Thank you,
Thank you very
Jason.
much.
being so gracious. Appreciate it.
All right, Sandra,
Yeah,
Delaware.
fun,
How
really
many
fun.
times have you driven
Through that
through
area.
Delaware in traffic? Always.
Always.
There's
Oh my
always
gosh.
traffic in Delaware. It's like being here in Connecticut.
God, I did it just a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Sitting in traffic in Delaware. Sorry. Sorry, Delaware.
Our older son did his undergraduate at GW, and we spent 4 years sitting in traffic in Delaware in both directions. I mean,
Well,
it was,
besides the traffic.
besides the traffic.
Besides the traffic.
So I'm familiar kind of with where they're located.
Yeah.
Because I have traveled so much
Been through that area.
in that area. But that's beautiful, beautiful area between
Yeah, it is
Delaware
pretty.
and Maryland. So
Driving over the big Delaware Gap and those waterways, and that's what having those waterways, having the ocean on one side and the big Delaware Gap really does. It creates this area that's really, fantastic for growing these particular grapes, and they're growing these French varietals, and they're doing really well.
I got to tell you, I was really, really surprised by the Country Bloom.
The Country Bloom was the rosé. Yes.
The color of the name kind of
We looked at it at first and we were like, oh boy. Oh, that's gonna be a big fruit bomb. But it was fun. It was fresh.
I couldn't just drink it like sitting on the beach by itself.
Yeah.
I think with the right food.
Like that hot fried honey chicken.
Hot chicken.
And that would like balance out the spice.
Or some really,
that was surprising.
Really
that was
good
fun.
Szechuan food
Yeah.
Would be, I think, a great mix
Yeah.
for that, or sushi with like a heavy dose of wasabi.
Yeah. Yep. That was fun.
But for me, the highlight was the BDX. I thought the Bordeaux blend
yes.
was really, really well
Yep.
done. And I thought it was really interesting that it's not the same blend every year.
Right, because you have to see how your grapes grow every year.
Yeah.
I mean, like you're going to have a little more here. You're going to have your Merlot be a little better one year, or your Cab's going to shine one year.
Yeah.
But they're always going to be those same
Right.
5 varietals. But really, to have a wine of this quality and this, this is. And he was joking like, "Oh, I'm not really concerned about making wine that could age." This wine will stand up in a bottle.
I agree.
This wine will lay down and be even better in 5 years. I absolutely think it would be. It's wonderful to drink right now.
Yep.
Definitely has potential for aging.
I agree. So we can check Delaware
Off
off the list.
of our list.
I got to tell you, as I think you might know,
Mm-hmm.
our next few destinations are really different
Really different.
than Delaware, and the only similarity being that they'll be very surprising.
Yes,
to the
they'll be
listener.
surprising, and they're all in the United States of America.
They are. So thanks all for joining us today. This was fun.
Thank you.
Sandra, good to see you again.
Pleasure.
Thanks.
Please remember to subscribe to Wine Across America on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube.